The noted American author Marguerite Henry was born April 13, 1902 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She was the fifth child and the youngest in her family. Her parents were Anna and Louis Breithout. During her young childhood, she was stricken with rheumatic fever. This disease quite possibly steered her in the direction of writing. Since she was bedridden from the age of 6 until the age of 12, she missed the outdoor opportunities taken for granted by most children. Confined indoors, Marguerite discovered the joys of reading. It was through literature she was able to partake of the adventures of normal life. Her love for animals inspired her to write. To aid in her great escape to the world beyond, her parents presented her with a writing desk. As Marguerite commented later in her life, "At last I had a world of my very own, a writing world, and soon it would be populated by all the creatures of my imagination." Marguerite's love for animals found its way into the pages of all of her manuscripts. She wrote about dogs, cats, foxes, mules, and birds. However, her primary subject matter focused on her love of horses. It was during the time that she was homebound, at the age of 11, that she sold her first story. After recovering from rheumatic fever, she attended Milwaukee State Teachers College, which later became part of the University of Wisconsin. In 1923, she married Sidney Crocker Henry. During the 64 years they were together, they did not have any children of their own. Instead, their children consisted of many of the pets which inspired her to write about the subjects in her novels. From 1940 to 1971, she and her husband, Sidney, lived in Wayne, Illinois, an area known for horse breeding. In 1940, Marguerite's first book was published, Anno and Tano, A Story of Finland. From 1940 until 1945, she wrote 5 more books. In 1945, after having written Justin Morgan Had a Horse, she met the illustrator Wesley Dennis. I wanted the best horse artist in the world to illustrate Justin Morgan Had a Horse. So I went to the library, studied the horse books, and immediately fell in love with the work of Wesley Dennis. She sent Wesley her manuscript, and their partnership resulted in the publishing of 15 books, 5 of which were award-winning books. Marguerite described the work of Wesley Dennis in this quote: "This artist saw beyond hide and hair and bone. You could see that he understood and loved animals, that he was trying to capture their spirit, personality, and expression." Marguerite Henry published an amazing total of 41 books. Her last book, Brown Sunshine of Sawdust Valley, was published in 1996, just prior to her death in 1997. She was 95 years old when she died. Marguerite was the recipient of 2 Newbery Honor Awards, in 1945 for Justin Morgan Had a Horse, and in 1948 for Misty of Chincoteague. In 1949, she was awarded the prestigious Newbery Medal for King of the Wind. In 1956, Brighty of the Grand Canyon won the William Allen White Children's Book Award. In 1960, the Sequoia Book Award was given to her for Black Gold. In 1960, Gaudenzia, Pride of Palio, which was later published under the title of The Wildest Horse Race in the World, won the Clara Ingram Judson Award. 13 years after winning the Newbery Honor Award, her world-renowned book, Misty of Chincoteague, received the Lewis Carroll Shelf Award. Marguerite Henry's fame does not end there. Incredibly, 4 of her award-winning books were made into movies. The first, King of the Wind, made its way to the silver screen in 1960, starring Richard Harris. In 1961, Misty, and a mere 6 years later, in 1967, Brighty, each joined the movie circuit. Finally, in 1972, Justin Morgan Had a Horse became a Disney film starring Don Murray. One of the paramount features of Marguerite's style of writing is the accurate detail she paints in her books. She spends considerable time and effort in researching the pedigrees of her subjects, as well as incorporating accurate historical events which occur or are referred to in her novels. The voice of the characters is true to form. Vocabulary and terminology representative of the era or cultural background of the individuals around whom the story is woven. For example, Misty of Chincoteague centers around the wild pony penning which occurs at Chincoteague Island, Virginia. King of the Wind was written about the actual Godolphin Arabian. Black Gold was written about the 1924 winner of the Kentucky Derby. And Brighty of the Grand Canyon is a fictional account of a real-life burro who lived along the Colorado River from 1892 to 1922. Her entrancing and picturesque vocabulary draws the reader into the story as though allowing them to witness the tale unfold before their eyes. Spellbound, the spectator finds it nearly impossible to set the book aside, instead craving to discover what will unfold. In this age of superheroes and matrices of fantasy, it is delightful to find an author who writes historical fiction in a manner which surrounds the reader with the sights, sounds, and smells of the setting. The reader experiences the fears, anxiety, and pleasures of the characters. After having read 4 of Marguerite's books, this reader is drawn to the yearning to experience the vivid details of her scripting once again. It is obvious how Marguerite Henry has become one of America's finest literary authors.